It's not something you see every day, right? A communist at the White House. This was fantastic. And you know what? Donald Trump played it brilliantly. And I mean, just brilliantly. You guys, make sure you subscribe, share, like, all that good stuff. I am Trish Regan. You're watching the Trish Regan Show. And I'll tell you, you know what? We got history being made right now. History being made. The communist comrade Mamdani from New York showing up at the White House. I can tell you, this was like the funniest moment ever. I want to show you a quick clip of this.
Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay. You can just say yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
So he's kissing the ring. Kissing the ring. That's pretty good. You know, I'm just quoting Rosie there. Kissing the ring as they do. Oh, here's another good one we got to get to today. Boy, I'll tell you, it's raining news. Look at this. Letitia James getting called out here by the DOJ. Lindsay Halligan, you know, they like to discount her because she's pretty. Beware of the beauty queens, okay? I'm just saying. Lindsay Halligan's got some oomph there. And she came forward with 32 pages basically outlining why it is that the DOJ believes Letitia James is guilty of mortgage fraud, which I love to go back to. This famous quote from New York's Attorney General: when powerful people cheat to get better loans, it comes at the expense of hardworking people. Everyday Americans cannot lie to get to a bank to get a mortgage. If they did, our government would throw the book at them. There simply cannot be different rules for different people. Tell it to me, baby. Okay, and the female lady, that's what we're calling her now. She's the Democrat representative from Florida that allegedly stole $5 million from taxpayers through FEMA. Well, she's blaming it all on one thing. Yeah. Can you guess? Watch.
But if this is what Congress is becoming, where they're always trying to intimidate you, scare tactics, especially attacking minorities, black and brown people, then we're going to have to keep fighting for the district.
Because, you know, it all comes back to color, apparently. All right, guys. Mamdani at the White House. Wow. Talking about a 180 here. Loop-de-loop. I mean, he was out there campaigning against Trump. Imagine how his base feels. I mean, hey, there's not going to be free groceries anymore. He said, no, just discounted. And now he looks like he's not going to get those free buses anymore because Kathy Hochul is refusing to raise taxes to 11%. He doesn't know what to do. He said, it doesn't matter how you get there. It just matters that we mark the money, that we get them. Well, you kind of got to care about the how, you know, the how you get there. Mr. Mamdani, I realize you're really young and inexperienced and you didn't get into my alma mater, sir, even though your own dad was a teacher there and you called yourself an African American. How about that? You still didn't get in. Oh, but gosh, look at how happy he was. Zohran Mamdani flying the plane, what was that, the Delta shuttle, one of the shuttles to Washington, D.C. this morning for this epic visit at the White House. I just want to remind you all, right? So when you see how his fans are so upset about this because, you know, to them, they all have TDS, Donald Trump is the enemy. I just want to remind you what he said back then and what he's saying now. Here we go.
My administration would be Donald Trump's worst nightmare. I have many disagreements with the president, and I believe that we should be relentless and pursue all avenues and all meetings that could make our city affordable for every single New Yorker. I intend to make it clear to President Trump that I will work with him on any agenda that benefits New Yorkers.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, this is good. He kind of looks like he might be a hostage at the White House. It was a total Trump move where he's totally trumping Mamdani. So I love it, right? Because he realizes, look, he's no fool. The guy is like probably the most brilliant politician of the century. Donald Trump, that is, not Mamdani. But he realizes, like, this guy got elected, right? And this guy's like nuts. He is a communist. He's a comrade who wants free buses, free health care, free child care. He wants to tax everyone, including, oh gosh, good thing I sold my apartment, right? Because apparently, based on this, I would have been charged a higher tax than somebody who looks like, oh, the woman we just heard from that doesn't like that she's being sought after because she allegedly stole $5 million, right? So Donald Trump is picking it up on this. He's recognizing that people are upset about the lack of affordability. But the answer, by the way, is not to just have rent control. No. The answer is to build more houses, more apartment buildings. Let's get mortgage rates down. Let's build. You're never going to build if all you do is stand in the way and say, no, we're going to do rent control. The answer, okay, it's always more supply, because Donald Trump, a builder, is also a capitalist. The comrade, oh, I don't know, maybe he'll come around. Donald Trump's hoping so. You got to watch this. But just look at him standing there. Again, Trump move, because he's sitting down. He's the president of the United States. He's holding court. And Mamdani's standing there like a little kid. Okay. We're waiting.
Well, thank you very much. We've just had a great meeting, a really good, very productive meeting. We have one thing in common. We want this city of ours that we love to do very well. And I wanted to congratulate the mayor. He really ran an incredible race against a lot of smart people, starting with the early primaries against some very tough people, very smart people. And he beat them easily. And I congratulated him. And we talked about some things in very strong common, like housing and getting housing built, and food and prices, and the price of oil is coming way down. Anything I do is going to be good for New York. If I can get prices down, it's good for New York. And we've got them down, way down from last year. We have, as you know, I've been saying to a lot of people, Walmart said that Thanksgiving this year is exactly 25% less than last year. So that's good for New York, good for everybody. But I just want to congratulate. I think you're going to have, hopefully, a really great mayor. The better he does, the happier I am, I will say. There's no difference in party. There's no difference in anything. And we're going to be helping him to make everybody's dream come true, having a strong and very safe New York. And congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Please.
I appreciated the meeting with the president, and as he said, it was a productive meeting focused on a place of shared admiration and love, which is New York City, and the need to deliver affordability to New Yorkers, the 8.5 million people who call our city their home, who are struggling to afford life in the most expensive city in the United States of America. We spoke about rent, we spoke about groceries, we spoke about utilities, we spoke about the different ways in which people are being pushed out, and I appreciated the time with the president. I appreciated the conversation. I look forward to working together to deliver that affordability for New Yorkers.
Thank you very much. Any questions, please?
President Trump, Stephen Nelson from the New York Post. I've got a question for you, and then also one for the mayor-elect.
Sure.
For you, you referred to Mr. Mamdani as a communist. Can you describe why you feel that way? And also, will you do anything to stop him from arresting Prime Minister Netanyahu if he visits New York?
Well, we didn't discuss your second part of the question, and on your first part, I mean, he's got views that are a little out there, but who knows? I mean, we're going to see what works, or he's going to change also. We all change. I changed a lot. Changed a lot from when I first came to office. It's now quite a while ago. It's quite a while. My first term
come on, kid.
Great. We had
There's hope for you,
economy in the history of our country. We're doing even better now. We're doing much better now than we did even the first term. And I can tell you some of my views have changed. And we had discussions on some things. I'm not going to discuss what they were, but that I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think he's going to be. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people, actually, and some very liberal people. He won't surprise them because they already like him.
Mr. Mamdani, it sounds like you had a productive discussion, but just days ago you referred to President Trump as a despot who betrayed the country. You said you would be his worst nightmare and accused him of having a fascist agenda. Are you planning to retract any of these remarks in order to improve the relationship?
I think both President Trump and I, we are very clear about our positions and our views, and what I really appreciate about the president is that the meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are. many, and also focused on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers. And frankly, that is something that could transform the lives of the 8.5 million people who are currently struggling under a cost of living crisis, with 1 in 4 living in poverty. And the meeting came back again and again to what it could look like to lift those New Yorkers out of struggle and start to deliver them a city that they could do more than just struggle to afford it, but actually start to live in it.
And I've been called much worse than a despot, so it's not that insulting.
You know what? You gotta hand it to him. Donald Trump played this beautifully. He's funny. He's in control. He's seated. He's saying, you know, there's hope for this kid yet. You know, we might be able to get him to come around a little bit. He might surprise some people. You know, we're going to sit him down with Art Laffer, right? Or Larry Kudlow. Let's do a little Econ 101. Steve Forbes would be great too. This is how it works, little guy. Right? This is reality. It's fun. There's just a couple of moments. I got to share with you. Here's another.
Policies as well that Mayor-elect Mamdani talked a number of times about on the campaign was shifting the tax burden for property taxes from what he called minority communities to white-based communities and putting more taxes on white people. I also noticed that in your...
Which, by the way, would be completely unconstitutional. But that didn't stop Mamdani from campaigning on it, right? He campaigned on a whole bunch of stuff. How much he hated Trump, how he was a fascist, he was never going to deal with him, and there he is begging at the White House. Let's keep listening to Jack here asking the question.
You didn't mention anything about America or Christians or white people in general, and so I didn't know if that was one of the policies that you guys had spoken about.
We focused on affordability. We focused on the cost of living crisis. What I will say is that I am very much interested in property tax reform, because what we see right now in New York City is a system that is so inequitable that it can't even stand up in court. And the president and I spoke about the importance of not only building more housing, but also making sure that regulation of housing is something that is manageable to actually get through and not the cause of yet another weight that we see in our city.
Clear, you're continuing this idea of race-based property taxes.
No, to be very clear,
what you said.
No, the use of the term was a description of neighborhoods, not a description of intent.
So you intend to tax the whiter neighborhoods more?
No, we intend to create a fair property tax system because we want a New York City that is not only fair and equitable, but also one that every New Yorker can afford.
Boom, ba-dum. It's like Trump's already working his magic, right? He's already getting it done. The guy wants to tax white people in white neighborhoods, and now he's coming around admitting, no, we're just going to try and make things equitable. Okay, good luck with that. Good luck with that. Here is a really funny moment. We played this in the tease off the top of the show. I just think this once again goes to Trump's sort of ability to be rather magnanimous and also humorous when confronted with, okay, is this guy going to start attacking me in the White House? Watch.
Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay. You can just say yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay. It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
It's easier than explaining it, okay? Pretty good stuff. Now, that does not mean for 2 seconds that anything here is fixed. What it tells you is that Donald Trump at least is saying, okay, affordability is a big issue for people. I actually think... And if you look at, for example, what he got nationwide, I believe he got 20% of the black male vote nationwide. We can talk to maybe John McLaughlin about that a little bit later in the program. America's top poll star, like the only one who gets anything right. But I do think that a lot of people that have historically, traditionally voted for Democrats are now coming into the fold. And he's close on New York. He's really, really close on New York City in general. And he knows that, right? You can almost taste it. And he's close on places like New Jersey even, where something like 46% of the Hispanic vote went for Donald Trump. So he's recognizing that he is representing working class Americans. Mamdani, on the other hand, really isn't representing working class. He's representing the elites that are so mad because, you know what? Alex Karp from Palantir said this really well. The elites who went and got these great Ivy League degrees and are still paying them off, all those PhDs paying off their degrees in English, lit, and transgender studies. And you know what? They're not making any money. So they're kind of angry. They're stuck in debt, and they went on and they campaigned for Mamdani, and then he turned around and he did this. Okay? That's tough, right? That's tough. Well, I'll tell you this. Donald Trump was gracious today. Donald Trump was magnanimous today. Donald Trump was filled with humor today. Donald Trump was Trump today and did a lovely job welcoming him in. So now if he turns on Trump, you know what Trump's going to do. Well, let's go back to the man himself saying it.
Said he will defy ICE and will not allow ICE to arrest criminal aliens in New York City. Your message to communist Zorhan Mamdani.
Well, then we'll have to arrest him.
Dun, 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 right? I don't think that's really going to change because I'm sorry, buddy, but if you are violating the law, then you're going to pay the price. And right now, New York City doesn't want to cooperate with ICE, which would put them in violation of the law, just like Chicago. Just like California's Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass, lovely lady that she is, they're figuring that out the hard way. Just like Michelle Wu in Boston, the mayor, is about to find out the hard way. And like Charlotte's learning, okay? So you know what? You want to fight. It goes all the way to the courts. And there's talk of all the things that people talk about. Okay, is this some kind of civil war? Well, if Letitia James has her way, you better believe it would be, right? Letitia James, with all the scary, horrible things that she would say, Letitia James is primed and ready for something. She was trying to take him down every moment she could, and yet now the evidence is mounting increasingly against her. I mean, I'll tell you, Tom Homan has no use for Letitia James. He's talked about her being in violation of the law. Let's go to him about a month ago on Fox.
They're all over this. They're all over this. Now they're looking at, impediment charges, looking at who's funding this stuff, right? Because I'm telling you, it's a matter of time. And I hate saying this, but I'm going to say it because I truly believe it's a matter of time before an ICE agent's ambushed and killed. Because we're letting people know we're enforcing.
So that can't happen. We've had some very difficult situations already. And if you have cities and states around the country that are not complying with the law, that are not allowing federal law enforcement to do their job, well, take your pick. I mean, you could go with the supremacy clause. You could go with the commerce clause. You could go with a whole lot of clauses. I think George Wallace in Alabama had to find this out in 1964 the hard way, right? Because you can send the National Guard in. You've got to protect the citizens of the United States of America. Did you hear that, Letitia James? I'm sorry, honey bunny, but you are going to be facing some significant challenges, as our friend Mike Davis, former attorney for the president, so articulately said. This is like my favorite clip ever on a podcast recently on Benny's show. This was fantastic. And in the spirit of what just went down with all of these documents being released by the DOJ, by one Lindsay Halligan, that really, really paint a negative picture of Letitia James, I want to hear this.
Let me just say this to Big Tish James, the New York Attorney General. I dare you to try to continue your lawfare against President Trump in his second term, because listen here, sweetheart, we're not messing around this time, and we will put your fat ass in prison for conspiracy against rights, and I promise you that. So
he promises, okay? So Letitia, this is not very good for you. Tish, James, because you see, you've been fighting this whole thing. You keep saying that it's just retribution, that he's just upset because you went after him. I mean, he has every right to be upset. And by the way, they're pursuing that in the state of New York because they believe that you violated his federal rights. It should never be a situation where someone is so deliberately targeted like that. But, Bill Pulte over at FHFA, he found some things out that aren't very good for you. And we're going to get to some of this evidence in just a minute. But I first want to start off with Government Exhibit 1 in the 32-page document released just hours ago by one Lindsay Halligan there in Virginia. Because what she's showing you here is a whole bunch of mortgage fraud cases. In other words, this is not unusual to bring a case against somebody for mortgage fraud. If somebody commits mortgage fraud, then yes, they can be prosecuted. And you can actually get prison time for this. So this is a criminal case. I mean, unlike the one that Donald Trump was facing with Letitia James, which was just, a kind of white collar case. This is like full on, if it's proven out, she could go to jail. So this is pretty serious stuff. Let's go back to what they have discovered here. So the DOJ is revealing some insurance forms that were signed by Letitia claiming that her house was empty 5 months a year. Do you see this here in yellow? I'm going to make it much bigger. So here in yellow, the months unoccupied would include February, July, September, November. Oh, no, forgive me. Those were the months occupied. So it says that the occupancy is by the owner. The residence usage is non-seasonal. This is not good. I mean, this is an insurance document. So now this would, if you think about it, basically corroborate, right, what was going on with the other documentation that we saw. We've seen the mortgages themselves in which she was saying, this is actually a home that I am going to use, like a vacation home, a secondary property, which she listed actually, I guess, as a primary. And then you had the other one that was, well likewise, I guess, registered in the wrong way. So she's facing some challenges. Oh, look at this, Mike Davis, because he put some of this stuff out here. He said in another application, James claimed that the Norfolk house was occupied by a single adult with no children. But she actually knew that the house was occupied by her niece. And the niece is 3 children. Her grandniece. And the 3 children. The grandnieces. I think it was her grandniece. Well, by the way, that's a whole other story. You should check out. We did a whole chapter on that a couple of weeks ago because the nieces have their own situations that they're dealing with. Shall we say? I don't know. Sketchy family. I know you can't pick your relatives, okay? So that's neither here nor there. But you're seeing a pattern. You know, the arrests from Walmart. There was another store in there. A couple of stores. One of them was actually avoiding her parole officer that was trying to check in with her out of the Carolinas, and somehow she's hanging out in Tishy's house. Auntie Tishy. Good thing Auntie Tishy makes all that money. Somehow, some way. Apparently, she made like $17,000 extra on this because she saved herself, I should say, $17,000. So actually, she could have made more because if you put the $17,000 in the market over the course of this, 30-year mortgage, and you assume a 10% rate of return in the S&P 500, well, you're going to be sitting kind of pretty now, aren't you? I mean, especially when you consider compound interest. Oh, Tishy, you knew what you were doing now, didn't you? I think you really did. Oh, just like that female lady. The female lady who tells us that the only possible reason that they went after her was only because of her skin color.
If this is what Congress is becoming, where they're always trying to intimidate you, scare tactics, especially attacking minorities, black and brown people, then we're going to have to keep fighting for the district.
Okay, you keep fighting. We're going to get to that story next. But first, a quick word from Dose Daily. I'll tell you, this is the hidden hero here. My kids are studying biology. You want to know the most underrated organ in your body? It happens to be your liver. It's doing 500 plus functions every single day, for goodness sakes, filtering unwanted elements, supporting digestion, helping with energy. But we never think about it until something goes wrong. What if we actually supported it before problems started? Well, that's what Dose is trying to do. What is Dose for your liver? Dose for your liver is a clinically backed liver health supplement. This isn't just another capsule or powder. Dose is a liquid supplement. It's taken in a daily 2-ounce shot. Kind of tastes like fresh squeezed orange juice. Not bad. Dose cleanses the liver of unwanted stressors that are slowing your liver down. It promotes daily liver function so your liver can do its job. 0 sugar, 0 junk, 0 calories. So what does the liver even do? Gosh, I sound like the kid's teacher, right? It's your body's filter. It processes everything you consume and performs 500 plus daily functions. Think energy production, digestion, fat metabolism, vitamin storage. Yep, the liver's making these processes happen every single day. And when it's overworked, guess what? You feel it. So what can you expect when drinking Dose Daily? You're going to reduce sluggishness, hopefully get rid of some of those midday crashes, hopefully support your metabolism here. Aid your daily digestion. It's kind of good stuff, right? And guess what? You can get it at 35% off. So if you're ready to give your liver the support it deserves, head over to dosedaily.com/REGAN. I know everybody's like, were you related to Reagan? Nope. Regan. Maybe related to Donald Regan, the chief of staff. Not that I know about, but hey, all the Regans, we take them all in, you know what? All of them, we take credit. Actually, my relatives in Ireland do say that Reagan is related to us. So there you have it. Okay, enter REGAN to get 35% off your first subscription. Your body does so much for you. Do something for it. That's Dose Daily, DOSEDAILY.co. Important, not .com, .co/REGAN for 35% off your first month subscription. Okay, female lady. Can you believe her? And that's what I'm calling her now because, well, she's got a really long name. A really, really long name. And I'm going to let the reporter say it because I kind of need to work myself up to it, okay? But she's the woman that's just had to step down because of these massive allegations. According to officials, she stole, alongside her brother and some other people, like $5 million worth of your taxpayer money that was from FEMA. Here we go.
A federal grand jury indicting Congresswoman Sheila Sherfilis McCormick and a number of her associates, accusing them of stealing millions of federal disaster funds, laundering that money, and using part of it to support her 2021 congressional campaign.
The money we invested was to make sure that we can touch the people in the community, but the money didn't determine this election because most people who put a lot of money in the community, in the campaigns, they don't win.
Federal prosecutors say Sherfilis McCormick and her brother Edwin Sherfilis ran a FEMA-funded COVID-19 vaccination staffing contract through their family health care company. Prosecutors say in July of 2021, the company got a $5 million overpayment. Prosecutors say the group diverted that money and tried to hide it through multiple accounts.
Okay, that's not good. Sheila Sherfilis, that's a tough one, McCormick, Democrat out of Florida. Okay, so she was indicted this week, again, on charges that she stole and laundered $5 million in federal relief funds and used the money for her congressional campaign. Brand new, out today, we have just learned that Ms. Sherfilis McCormick is actually having to resign from all of her positions. So apparently she's on a whole bunch of committees, and all of the committees are what she is resigning from because, well, it's kind of a big deal when you're accused of something like this. So the FEMA lady is resigning effectively in disgrace from all her I keep calling her FEMA, but allegedly, she stole this $5 million. Apparently, her and her brother conspired, per authorities, to steal the overpayment that they got, the $5 million, and route it through various accounts in order to conceal its origins. She's alleged to have basically used the money for her own enrichment and to fund a significant part of her congressional campaign. She did win a special election back in January 2022 to fill the seat of the late Democrat Representative Elise Hastings. She won 72.3% of the vote in last year's general election and then was reelected again last year when she ran uncontested. This is not a good look for the Democrats. I mean, it comes on the heels of Jasmine Crockett. Oh, we have an update on that for you because the doctor that she completely slandered, he's got kind of a clever way to get back at her. I'll tell you about that in a second. But I don't get it. You're just going to keep going with, you're going after me because I'm black? That's her story, and she's sticking to it.
But if this is what Congress is becoming, where they're always trying to intimidate you, scare tactics, especially attacking minorities, black and brown people, then we're going to have to keep fighting for the district. And everybody has been giving me so much support, and we're going to keep fighting until the district gets what it needs, which is fair prices, housing, and fair representation in Congress.
Did you improperly use the FEMA fund? Calls on some of your colleagues to step down or resign?
They didn't elect me. It was my district. And so we'll keep fighting for the people and keep working like we're doing now until they get what they need. So we're here for the people. So the only people who elected me should make that decision. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Only the people that elected me should make that decision. I'm sorry. Like, if you're accused of a crime, and if this is proven out, I mean, she's going to be like Letitia. They're all hanging on for dear life. I have to be fair, though, because, look at what they accused Donald Trump of. And look at what they continue to accuse him of. And he may go down in history. I kid you not. He may go down in history as one of the most monumental, most extraordinary presidents ever. Because despite all of this, he's taking us forward in a direction that's really, really, really important for the country. And he's doing so even though you get the Democrats kicking and screaming. I mean, heck, the Democrats used to actually care about borders. They cared about borders until they realized he cared about borders. And so then they say, okay, we're going to like have a big open season party and everybody can come in, come on, come all. And we'll give you free this and free that and free this and free that. Because maybe one day you may just vote for us. And the president has called you know what on that. And he's daring to speak up for the middle-class American that has gotten so lost by the Democrats. Frankly, they're out there saying, we care about working people. No, you don't care about working people. You don't care about working people. Look at what you're doing on healthcare, for example. I mean, we're sitting here every day like waiting for you guys to make sure that those tax cuts for healthcare are extended. Otherwise, people's premiums are going to go through the roof. They're going to be paying so much more money out, and you don't do squat. And I'll tell you, I appreciate it. My former colleague over at CNBC, Becky Quick for the win, ladies and gentlemen. This former colleague of mine over at CNBC who hosts the morning show very early in the morning had Hakeem Jeffries on. I mean, you're up early in the morning. That's hard enough. And then you got to look at that guy in the screen. And he's just going off and trying to talk circles around you, but he's not very smart, as you know. And Becky, trust me, is smart. And she actually understands the economy, and she does understand markets. And she's like, I'm over you, bud. You make no sense. I want you to see her rolling her eyes in frustration. Now remember, like, it's cable. You can't be quite as animated and have the pizzazz that you have, say, over here on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, share, like, all that good stuff. Make a comment. I appreciate it. But listen, it's cable, so you got to keep a little decorum. Maybe that's why it didn't really work for me. I get a little too excited and frustrated and annoyed, right? Yeah, I'll just have it out with these people. But anyway, here he is with a bunch of BS, and she doesn't want any part of it. This is fantastic. Go, Becky.
If this is something that you want to satiate, if you want to get done, you are going to need at least some Republicans to come over. Why not start with a one-year extension or potentially even a two-year extension?
Well, Leader Schumer offered a one-year extension in the context of trying to end the Trump Republican shutdown.
Yeah, that's different. But I'm talking about what you have now. Let's not go back to what's done in the past and what has not been extended. If you want to get something that has actually...
Okay, now just wait for it. Watch her eyes.
Done. You need to do something that will have bipartisanship.
You can ask me the question. You can ask me the question. I'll provide the answer.
Answer the question instead of going back.
I'll provide the answer. No. I'm providing an answer in order to provide context. Republican...
Look at that eye roll. Look at that eye roll. You know, the cameraman saw the eye roll, so he took it off of her. He goes to him for a minute, but she's back for more.
Have repeatedly refused to take yes for an answer. It was a very reasonable multi-year extension that was offered. It was a one-year straight extension plus a multi-year process through a bipartisan commission to more permanently resolve the Affordable Care Act issue. So having that context is absolutely important, regardless of what you may think.
It's important context to make me realize that I don't think you want to get a deal done. I think this is something where you'd like to see the rates go higher and allow the Republicans to hang themselves with that. Is that the answer?
That's absolutely
politics?
That's absolutely a ridiculous assertion.
The eye roll again. Like, I actually haven't seen her do that a lot. She must be so frustrated with the guy. Look, she's like, man, oh man, like, what am I going to do with you, freaking moron? Get off my head.
3 years is not going to get passed, so what do you do?
Shame on you for saying that.
Don't invite him back, Becky. Okay? Like, he doesn't deserve it. You see, she actually knows what's going on in the economy. That's like her job. She kind of has to understand that. There are very few, I'll tell you, there are very few financial journalists that are total commies. I mean, they may lean a little left, they may be a little squishy, but it's pretty hard. I mean, when push comes to shove, people want the markets doing better. They want the economy doing better. And so that actually takes some of the politics out of it in a way. Like, I feel like one of the reasons why I responded and looked at Donald Trump's tax plan and was like, wow, this is great, as far back as 2016, was because, again, I'm not coming at it with the bias of politics. I'm actually coming at it with the bias of, I want our markets to do well. I want our economy to do well. I want us to be safe, right? You need the safety. And I want us to be planning for the future, for industry and for growth. And listen to me, I'm going to tell you, you do not have a strong country if you do not have a strong middle class. He grew middle class incomes prior to the March 2020 situation, which I warned you at the time would be devastating for him and devastating for the country from a political perspective, as it was. You don't shut everything down, right? Like, there are a lot of other ways to go about that. Anyway, that's Monday morning quarterbacking, although I will say I told you so at the time. But Donald Trump did the most for the middle class worker since JFK. That's how far back you got to go. Democrats weren't doing squat. You need a strong middle class in order to have a strong economy. You cannot be like Latin America, right, with a lot on the top and a lot on the bottom. Actually, maybe Latin America is more like a pyramid. But there's no middle, you see, so we have to think about that for a second, because I'll tell you, the U.S. is increasingly becoming that hourglass economy where we do have a lot on top, right? There's a lot of people with a lot of wealth. The middle class is so squeezed, and then the people on the bottom, they're getting handout after handout after handout, which is why Brooke Rollins is saying, no. You're going to reapply for SNAP benefits. We're going to make sure that you are trying to get a job before you collect these SNAP benefits. We're doing a whole lot to make sure that we shore up all the corruption that's within the entire welfare chain. This is new. People have not done this before. Hey, Gary, it's metal detecting. It's good to see you back here on the show. Appreciate you being here. And thank you for your generosity. I want to turn to some of the negative news that we've seen on the president. I mean, for example, you saw Reuters Ipsos had a poll showing that the president's at 38% approval rating. You had the Marist poll out recently. So I look at some of these polls and I'm like, really? Because, prices are coming down and the market's doing okay. I mean, Bitcoin's having a little bit of a rough road, but overall, things are not that bad. And cities are becoming safer. So what are these polls really about? So I went to my friend John McLaughlin, who's like the number one pollster. This is the guy that got it right in 2016, right? He got it right. He's like, no one's voting for Hillary. And he got it right again in 2024. So what is it that the liberal media polls keep getting wrong? And what do we do? What do we do to make sure that Trump doesn't have a Democrat Congress that he's got to deal with? Because you know what's happening. Impeachment, and nothing's going to get through, right? Joining me right now on where Donald Trump is and where he's going, and importantly, where the Republican Party is going come midterms, I have with me John McLaughlin. Good to see you, of course, of McLaughlin Associates, very, very, very famous pollster. You may be one of the few that the president likes. It's good to see you, John.
Trish, it's great to be here.
And I say that because you're accurate. You're accurate, and that's a big, big deal. I'm looking at a lot of stuff out there right now. I don't know how accurate it is or not, but give me your read on some of the polls that we've seen in the last few days and sort of your read on where we were given what we saw in midterms.
Well, I've been going through this for years because of Donald Trump. And fortunately for me, the president has proven our polls right. Remember the Hillary lock? And I was saying, no, we can win a close race. And then there was the Biden blue wave, and I'm like, oh, it's going to be close again. It was close again. But
why do you think, but why is that? Why is there do you think there's just institutional bias among so many pollsters that they're missing the forest for the trees?
It's not institutional, it's political. I mean, remember when the Des Moines Register poll came out and they had us losing Iowa by 3? And I'm getting phone calls. Susie Wiles, she was on the road with him. She said, you got to do a memo. And I'm like, okay, I'll do a memo. And it was skewed. There should have been more Republicans in it, and there wasn't. I mean, It was short Republicans, and when you did the adjustments, we should have been winning Iowa by at least 6. We ended up winning by 13.
So it's
I sent
deliberate. Is it
was a
deliberate to
Sunday
try and like demotivate people from voting?
Exactly. And I sent it to Susie. I sent the memo to Susie the Sunday before the election. And I said, when are you going to release it? She says, no, we're not releasing it. It was for him. So I had to do a memo. So he knew what was wrong about the poll. So, fortunately, our polls were right and dead on. In fact, they hang in Mar-a-Lago at his office. I sent him posters, the line graphs, battlegrounds. We had him up 2 in the national vote, and he won by 2. And he was ahead all year in 24. But now you get, because we poll likely voters, people who we call people who are real people. We ask them how they're going to vote. If they tell us they're not going to vote, we don't bother polling them. And the media polls, what they do is there's polls out there like The Economist, YouGov, CBS. They only have like 35% Trump voters. We got 50% of the popular vote. So they're polluting their polls when they do adults or registered voters. They're polluting with non-voters who are 2-1 against the president. Where they find them, I don't know. I think they're illegal immigrants. And they put them in the polls to run us down. And now the bad part is the good polls, you just saw an election because midterms, you don't get the same turnout. In the presidential election, we had 156 million people come out. There were 77 million Trump voters, so we got 50% roughly. That's a huge pond because in 2018, 118 million people showed up, so it was less. 2022, 112 million people showed up, so that's less. So in the midterms, like I just did election in November 4th, where Bruce Blakeman, the Nassau County Republicans, we knew it would be a lower turnout, but we got lists of Trump voters who didn't vote in 21 or 23. And Bruce told them that he cut taxes and hired more cops in the safest county in America and cooperated with ICE. We had Donald Trump come into Nassau County, and we won 56-44 in a Democrat county. I mean, it's like, I don't know what they did.
So you want to have the right data. You want to have the right data, and you need to have, the right kind of polls, because otherwise, you're living a dream, shall we say. Hillary Clinton still can't get over that she didn't get to break the glass ceiling, and poor Kamala doing the apology tour or whatever you want to call it. I think there's the idea that you could have ever run Joe Biden and thought that was going to be a winning ticket, let alone Kamala. To me, and I'm just saying this given my sort of television producer type, background. Like, I'm just looking at it saying, you guys don't have winning candidates, not as a pollster, but it's sort of wild. Okay, so this is a big deal. We've got midterms coming up.
Right.
And, we just went through an election cycle where we have a communist running New York City. Boy, am I glad I sold my apartment. It's good not to be there, but he's meeting with Trump today. What do you think is going to happen? How do Republicans win this midterm cycle?
They win on the issues, and the crazy part is the Democrats are saying it's about affordability. These are the Democrats that voted against the Trump tax cuts. They wanted a tax increase of $4.5 trillion. They wanted to raise the taxes of every American by $2,000. Mamdani wants to raise taxes on your old apartment because you owned it, and Hochul's trying to accommodate him. She wants to raise the corporate tax in New York from 7 to 11 on top of the federal corporate tax. You talk about jobs going bye-bye out of New York. So those are affordability issues. Now, specifically, you're talking about a recent poll that we did in 16 battleground congressional districts.
I wanted, affordability issues include healthcare, right? And that's a big part of what they're talking about. You guys just came out with a poll on healthcare. 91% of Americans are on board saying that this is so important. We've got to lower the overall cost for working American families. I can also, just to read off some of the stats, which were fascinating, 73% of voters were concerned about the healthcare premiums increasing next year. I can tell you that anecdotally, I'll be looking at the comments in real time. Every time we're talking about healthcare, like we are right now, everybody's saying, you won't believe how much more I had to pay this year. And they're worried about how much more it's going up next year. It's 57% Majority were likely to vote for a candidate for Congress who voted to preserve tax credits. Support is higher among Hispanic voters, interestingly, also among independent women voters. 69%. Here you go. I'm thinking you're making a really big tent. You're expanding the tent here.
They decide the election, the independent women. I mean, it's like, and Hispanics, it's all the right swing groups. And you're right, because healthcare, like food and groceries in the same poll in these battleground congressional districts was 38% top concern. Healthcare was 39%. Same thing. So when after you get done buying your food and groceries and you're upset that, the prices are still too high, you want them to come down more, and President Trump's working on that. But 87% of that, our friend Steve Moore did a study, 87% of that food inflation happened while Biden was president. And now Trump's trying to fix it. But going back to the healthcare, you have these healthcare tax credits if you buy your healthcare through the exchanges. Now, these are for people who work, not people who don't have jobs and are getting free healthcare like a Medicaid. This is for people who work. They get a healthcare tax credit that helps them buy the health insurance. And Congress, the Democrats want it to lapse so that they can have government-run healthcare. They want the whole system to collapse. They want government-run healthcare. That's a bad idea. So the working people, like if you work 2 or 3 jobs and your employer doesn't provide health insurance, you have to try to get this somehow. So you need that healthcare tax credit. So in that healthcare tax credit, we did a poll in June where 77% of all voters approve of this. They think it's a good idea. Now, some people think it should be means tested. President Trump thinks that we should give the money exactly to the consumers and let them go buy the health insurance because the health insurance companies keep charging more. So there's
market capitalism, baby, right? I mean, why not give the consumer the power to make the decision?
Right. So there's room for reforms, but the way Washington does things, let's just take away the tax credit from working people who pay taxes, who have jobs, who can't afford their health insurance. You can't do that. And that'll be really bad for us going into the midterms. These are our voters. The Trump voters are working class voters. They are people who work. They want their jobs here. They want to be able to buy their own health insurance.
Why hasn't this gone through? I mean, why is this? Why are we sitting here even debating it, given that the GOP has the House and the Senate?
Well, because when they get inside the Beltway, people inside the Beltway figure out, how can the government still spend our money but not send it back to us or not help us? I mean, we just went through that. Think about it. The Trump tax cuts got renewed by literally a couple votes.
It's scary to me.
So it scares everybody when you think about what we had to do with the president. He basically willed those tax cuts. If they had not passed, this country would be in a recession right now. And
for sure.
In our national polling, most voters don't think we're in a recession. They're still worried about the economy. The inflation is still the top issue. By the way, we had a poll at the end of October. Most Americans want to fire Jerome Powell 59-24 to lower interest rates. So they don't want to wait till May.
I think that's actually interesting because I would have told you most Americans don't quite know who he is, but thanks to President Trump, now a lot of people know who Jerome Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, is. It's really interesting how he's kind of brought people along and I think educated them on a lot of economic policy. It seems at this point we're looking at pretty minimal inflation, and the potential for some stagnation on the economic front. That one seems like a no-brainer because the Fed has the flexibility to move there. And when I look at the Fed right now, it's feeling awfully political, which it's not supposed to be, because, it's the middle class, right, that's getting hurt. Hey, if you're wealthy, you're paying cash for your house. You're paying cash for your car. You're not worried about where interest rates are. You've got a way to fix that. But it's the middle class that really gets hurt by that. So he's out there championing this stuff. It's just that we feel like we're in this race against time, right? When you think, John, about all the damage that was done.
Yes. And by the way, going back on Powell in that survey, 33% had a favorable opinion, but 27% weren't favorable. They know who the guy is, and they think he's sabotaging the economy. So they want interest rates to come down. And if interest rates come down, you have it makes it makes the federal budget a lot easier to deal with because
Sure.
you don't have to. And then you got to deal with this health insurance. When you think of the average person, pollsters, we talk to real people. They tell you what their real concerns are, they'll tell you that it's health insurance, the cost of premiums, medical bills. Those are their real fears, and particularly women. Women are more likely to be. They're the ones who deal with the health insurance, and they're the ones who pick the doctors, and they're the ones who have to pay the bills in the household. And when we created back in 2015, 2016, when we were building the Trump coalition. In fact, at one point in 2016 in the summer, he says, how are we going to win? All these polls have me losing to Hillary. And I said, you're going to max out the anti-Hillary vote. You're going to take votes out of Gary Johnson, the libertarian who was running. He had 10%. And then we're going to bring new voters in. Millions of new voters came in. And I said, they're working class voters who didn't vote for Romney, didn't like the guy, thought he would fire them. They had lost their health care when their jobs went to China. And they want you because of you're going to be their blue collar billionaire. And those voters we're looking at right now to win the midterms, the voters that we identified then that Trump knew in his gut, and we identified in our polling for him, they're the ones that we had to bring back. And this basically, the survey that we did for Americans for Balanced Budget shows that if we don't take care of them with these healthcare tax credits, that they can afford their healthcare and have peace of mind, they may not show up, or they may vote for the Democrat because in the generic ballot in these 16 districts, when we asked them if the Democrats vote for this and the Republicans don't, they would go for a Democrat 51-41, and that's in a district or in a set of districts where it's +4 Republican. So don't take the Trump voters for granted. Don't take the working class voters for granted. Figure out a way to solve their problems.
Yeah, it's some very good advice, frankly, that all of these candidates should be looking at. I know you also spent some time on 16 GOP held districts, and it could be that this would be the issue ultimately. Do you think that makes or breaks them?
It could be. I mean, it would give the Democrats, if the Republicans don't get a solution to this, the Democrats would have a wedge issue. And you just saw, what happened in New Jersey and Virginia. We don't need to give them any more wedge issues. In fact, if anything, they should be running. We should be the ones going after them. I talked about my suburban New York clients. Mamdani had a 69 unfavorable. He was in all our ads in mail.
I'm sorry, say that again?
In Nassau County, where the Republicans swept everything in a Democrat county, Mamdani had a 69 unfavorable in the last 2 weeks. He was in all our mail. He was in all ours because he was for cashless bail and he's for higher taxes. Two things that voters don't want. So we basically, we ran at the Holcomb Mamdani Democrats, and Bruce Blakeman, who's now thinking around for governor in New York because of those issues, is we won big. And we carried everything. But
I think Kathy Hochul is going to be really vulnerable in New York for sure. I think definitely vulnerable because she's a little too aligned with the comrade, shall we say. Americans for a Balanced Budget, I love what they're doing with you. So thank you for this information in this poll. StopHealthcareHikes.com. I'm going to put it up on the screen because I think it's worth people knowing if you want to get involved even on the grassroots level in some way, shape, or form, or just learn more about it, you can go over there to StopHealthCostHikes.com. Important stuff. John, it is good to see you.
Trish, great to see you again. Great to be on your show again, the podcast, and keep doing well.
Thank you. It's good to see him indeed. And that's what I wanted to show you. StopHealthCostHikes.com. So go there to learn more. It is really important stuff. I mean, because I see Leslie saying she only had a $37 increase. That's good news. But if they don't actually get something through, it's going to be a whole lot worse. So if you want to join the grassroots effort, I encourage you to do so. I'll tell you guys, the Democrats are just like, it feels to me anyway, like they become so chaotic that they're just like, they don't know which way to turn. They got the communist who's like kissing the ring of the president he hates. You've got Jasmine, low IQ, Crockett, proving how low IQ she is when it came to her defense of one Stacey Plaskett. You know, Stacey Plaskett, she's the one who decided to be texting with one Jeffrey Epstein during the Michael Cohen hearings because, you know, they wanted to somehow entrap Donald Trump. And she was taking advice from this guy. I mean, after everything that had happened, don't forget, like he was out of jail back in, what was it, 2009, 2010. And you're fast forwarding all the way to 2018. She knew he was a bad dude, right? I mean, she had to turn back some money that he had given her campaign. And yet he's her buddy who's like telling her how to get Trump. And what's wild is that Jazzy is like defending this somehow. I thought that was just kind of something. Okay. Meanwhile, this is something because the doctor that she was trying to, shall we say, slander, he's got kind of a clever idea for how he can get back at her. He wants revenge and he's found, you know, one way to do it. And believe me, the guy, like, he should. He deserves something because she's out there on national television on the House floor just repeating total inaccuracies as though it's totally A-okay. And then instead of saying, oopsie daisy, you know, I kind of screwed up, she doubles down and tries to tell you that even though they were inaccurate, they weren't really inaccurate. I mean, she's like talking herself in circles, once again, proving the low IQ of Jasmine Crockett. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
One Democrat who's been on defense over Jeffrey Epstein is Stacey Plaskett. She represents the Virgin Islands. She was texting with Jeffrey Epstein the day of Michael Cohen's hearing. Her questions pretty closely followed the text messages between the two of them to ask about Rona Graff, Trump's longtime assistant. You were defending her today, or in recent days, yesterday, and you talked about Republicans taking money from a Jeffrey Epstein. Here's what you said.
Takes them a while.
Who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, as I had my team dig in very quickly. Mitt Romney, the NRCC, Lee Zeldin, George Bush, Win Red, McCain Palin, Rick Lazio.
You mentioned Lee Zeldin there. He's now a cabinet secretary. He responded and said it was actually Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, who's a doctor that doesn't have any relation to the convicted sex trafficker. Unfortunate for that doctor, but that is who donated to a prior campaign of his. Do you want to correct the record on the people that
Listen, I never said that it was that Jeffrey Epstein, just so that people understand when you make a donation, your picture is not there. And because they decided to spring this on us in real time, I wanted the Republicans to think about what could potentially happen because I knew that they didn't even try to go through the FEC. So my team, what they did is they Googled, and that is specifically why I said a Jeffrey Epstein. Unlike Republicans, I at least don't go out and just tell lies. Because it was not the same one, that's fine. But when Lee Zeldin had something to say, all he had to say was it was a different Jeffrey Epstein. He admitted.
Clearly, she did not go to a very good, or I think she actually went to an okay law school. I was going to say she didn't go to a good law school, but maybe she was like, you know, Joe Biden finishing in the bottom 10 of her class. She's just talking herself in circles.
That he did receive donations from a Jeffrey Epstein, so at least I wasn't trying to mislead people.
No, you weren't misleading anyone. No one. I mean, with the wrong Jeffrey Epstein. And again, you know, he's concocting a little plan here to get revenge on one Jazzy girl. Jazzy girl. She wasn't done. Like, this is just, this is hysterical. I want to play a Fox clip too because I'll tell you, Jesse Waters was pretty funny on this. But let's go back to Jazzy girl who just keeps digging herself in further and further and further.
Now, have I dug in to find out who this doctor is? I have not.
Nope.
So I will trust and take what he says is that it wasn't that Jeffrey Epstein.
You think?
But I was not attempting to mislead anybody. I literally had maybe 20 minutes before I had to do that debate.
Yeah, but people might see that and say, well, you're trying to make it sound like he took money from
I did not know.
A registered sex offender.
No, but I literally did not know. When you search FEC files, and that's what I had my team to do, I texted them and I said, listen, we're going up. They are saying that she took donations.
Right, but someone might say, well, your team should have done the homework to make sure it wasn't the convicted.
Not Within 20 minutes, you could not find that out, not from just doing a quick search on FEC.
Oh, really? You only had 20 minutes. So you thought, why not go out and just do a quick search on Google, and we'll just give this a shot and we'll hope for the best. And maybe it is that Jeffrey Epstein. You don't think that actually that would have come out earlier? Like, I find that really sort of amazing. You knew damn well what you were doing, for goodness sakes. I mean, that's what's just so disgusting about this, because these people just lie and they lie and lie. What about the Connecticut, right, senator, who said he was in Vietnam, but I don't think he was even in the military? I mean, only in politics, right, can you lie like this? I'm thinking Bill Clinton. It's not good. But there was a funny moment last night on my former employer. One of my, like I've worked all over mainstream media. That's the reality. So from Fox, and of course, Fox Business News, to CNBC, to CBS, to NBC and CNBC. I'm trying to think. I was even a contributor at one point at ABC. So it's like, I've done it all. I've seen it all. I know how the sausage gets made. And I will tell you, there's obviously a lot of bias there in the mainstream media, but I will commend that particular anchor for being willing to at least challenge Jasmine, because that's not something that we're seeing these days, even on MSNBC. So that was a turn that was somewhat surprising and good. And I think it's in part because Donald Trump has said, look, I've had it with y'all. I'm going to sue you if you keep just trying to libel me, because this is not working for the country. It's not working for us. And by the way, it's not even working for you. You know that? It's not working for you, and we know it's not working for you because your polls are so skewed and so bad and so ridiculous, as the most respected pollster was just explaining to us. Anyway, on my former employer there, they were talking about all of this, and before we get to the doctor's revenge, I do want to play this clip for you from Jesse Waters, because, let's just say he once again let Jessica have it. I hope they give her hazard pay, because it's like she's meant to be the stooge, right? She's meant to be the silly, stupid stooge on this show. And she's badly made fun of every single night. Let's watch.
Next to his family, all these prestigious organizations. It's like Prince Andrew had to take, off his medals. The two of them have basically, suffered the same retribution in all of this. But Jesse, as Jessica's talking, I just keep thinking about the fact that if Democrats felt so strongly about this, they've had 4 years. They didn't pursue any of this.
It was because of the open investigation.
Oh, sure.
Okay, well, that's what Trump's going to use now, by the way.
Okay.
All right.
All your predictions are wrong.
That's not true.
It is. I'll take it from here. My staff did the research that her staff did, and we did it in less than 25 minutes. And Romney, Bush, the NRCC, WinRed, no one took Epstein money. It checks out. She's dumb. She knows her staff is dumb. That's why she gave herself an out. So she lied. And only in politics can you lie and get
It's what I was saying, right? Like, only, you can lie, and all these people, they lie, and like, that's what they do. So it's just, but I thought that was great, because Jessica Tarlov, I hope they pay you extra for that gig. I really, really do, because it's just not, you're badly made fun of, like, every night. And unfortunately, these are things that you just sort of walk into, and It's too easy. Okay, it's just too easy. Anyway, let's continue listening, because he makes some other really good points here.
They're putting out all of the FBI and DOJ investigative documentation. Now, Donald Trump cut him loose in 2004. All of this documentation that's going to come out is going to be from 2008, when the first charges were filed, to 2019, when the second charges were filed. Everything in between that decade, all he's doing, Jessica, is hanging out with Democrats. That's all he's doing. He's not donating to Republicans. He's not hanging out with Republicans. So it doesn't even matter if you guys did or did not get massages. Did or did not hang out with.
Oh dear.
The allegation that's going to come out in these documents is going to ruin people's lives.
It's true, actually.
And I'm sorry, you pushed this. Trump was trying to be a gentleman, and he was going to say a lot of people's lives are going to be ruined. A lot of people will have their reputations destroyed from innuendo.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but that's the way it's going to happen. Now, you're right about J.P. Morgan. This is out, and it's huge. So J.P. Morgan filed 5,000 suspicious activity reports on Epstein. $1 billion in suspicious financial wires from Jeffrey Epstein. That either one or two things is true. He is either at the center of or he's a money launderer. And J.P. Morgan covered it up. And the Treasury Department's covered it up because they get those reports. That's what this has always been about. Okay. And that's what I'd like to find out more about.
Wow. Yeah, she's like, okay. So, look, I mean, it's what I've said all along as well, that the downside for the Democrats, frankly, is that now they will be facing a situation where a lot of names get dragged into this that maybe shouldn't have been. I mean, look at Jeffrey Epstein. Like, he's talking about Trump really negatively, really grossly, and the New York Times prints that and tries to, like, suggest that somehow Jeffrey Epstein's opinion on Trump is gospel. You had, oh gosh, the Democrats putting up on their Twitter account. Remember that one? Like, they had this, they had to take it down the other day because the what's his name was joking around. Epstein was joking around with one of his friends and like, where are you spending Thanksgiving? And this is back in, it would have been 2017. Donald Trump was already in the White House. He said, with Trump. And the Democrats put this up on X and they said, see? And then they had to take it down, right? So they're taking like any jokes that he made about Donald Trump and they're running those. And that's obviously, you know, something that Donald Trump doesn't appreciate. But think about it when it comes to, say, Larry Summers, who was going to Epstein for financial advice. It turns out he went to the island with his wife on a honeymoon. It's all kind, you know, like they had a very close relationship. It's all coming out. Larry Summers having to step down from public positions. I think he's staying on as a teacher at Harvard, but that's kind of, you know, and it's tough for him this late in life. Not that we feel bad for him, but what about all the other people that are somehow mentioned in this? And that's what Jesse's getting at. And that's what I said from the beginning. Like, Donald Trump was actually trying to be a nice guy and like, okay, let me save everybody that wasn't like knee deep in this from the horrible embarrassment, because they're all going to be Dems. They're all going to be New York Dems and other Dems. I mean, like the Virgin Islands lady. There's no way that Jazzy's going to be able to defend this one. Not even with a fake Dr. Epstein. So Dr. Epstein, the one out on Long Island, yeah, he's got an idea. He said, I know how I can really get back at her. Total revenge. So I saw this and I was like, okay, you're going to sue, right? Like, you know, this is slander. You can sue her because she shouldn't have been saying this stuff and maybe that'll happen. No. His idea is, what if I donate to her campaign? I'll donate to her campaign. And then Jeffrey Epstein will have donated to Jasmine Crockett's campaign, just like Jeffrey Epstein donated to Lee Zeldin's and to Mitt Romney's and a whole bunch of other people, right? Palin, etc. I mean, she's just so dumb. I'm going to say it. She's dumb and opportunistic. And I agree with Jesse. She's done. She should be. I mean, well, heck, she's done because she's been redistricted right out of her little section there in Texas. She's got bigger aspirations. God help Texas if that ever comes to fruition. God help America if it ever comes to fruition that she wants to do anything more. But I think this is where Donald Trump has this opportunity. As we've said, he's really expanding the base. He's going big, right? We've played you a bunch of video from all the wonderful people in Chicago, on the south side of Chicago, that are saying, hey, we want you here. We need you here. And he has an opportunity to really change the GOP, to remake it not just in the sort of presence of the working class, but a diverse working class, while simultaneously hoping that, you know, you can also get the people that believe, like me, in lower taxes. Never met a tax cut I did not like and love, while also getting the people that say, hey, we need to balance our budget, fiscal conservatives. I mean, you can have a really big tent here, people, if you think about things innovatively with a new approach. And that's exactly what he is doing. So this is a big opportunity for America for sure. I love that you're here on the show. Thank you so much. I've been following everything that you guys are saying. S. Martinez, yes, go Texas, right? Zero taxes, like New Hampshire, like Florida. I mean, it's like prime real estate, if you ask me. Anyway, so good to see you all. Thank you, Leslie. No, I agree with you. No way she's ever going to become a Texas senator. But, she's really into the idea. What did she giggle the other day and say, I really, really, really want to take on Ted Cruz? And then she didn't quite know what to say, so she just kept repeating it. And her accent got thicker and stronger every single time. Woo! Okay. Jasmine, bye-bye. Bye. Anyway, I hope you guys have a fabulous, terrific weekend. I may be with you over the weekend. We got a lot more content coming your way. So stay tuned. Make sure that you subscribe and that you hit the bell for all the alerts. Get all the content, please. That way you will know when I am here live. We jump around a little bit in the time schedule. Thank you so much for being here. Good to see you all. And we will be live again right here on the Trish Regan Show Monday. I'll see you then.